Why should I keep all these forms of Social Security? I know that you are probably papered out your mind. I know you're like, man, if I get another piece of paper from Social Security, I'm just going to lose it around this thing. And this is what I tell people. I tell people to keep it. And they're like, why am I keeping all this paperwork? Let me tell you why. The process takes about 2 years. I say, 2 months, 2 years is what I tell people. Are you going to remember what you wrote a year ago? No. On those forms, there's a lot of stuff that you're going to be asked about again and again. And more importantly, once you have a hearing, you're going to be asked about it. So if you sit there and you say one thing a year ago, and then you say something completely different now, guess what? Inconsistency. Now, I know you're going to say, well, how am I going to remember what happened a year ago? Or more importantly, things have changed since what happened a year ago. I get that. But you need to think of this kind of in a different perspective. Look at your forms, and what you're going to notice is that typically your statements should be consistent throughout. And I've said this in other videos as well. But the reality is you're not going to remember all that when you go before a judge. You're going to be sitting here nervous and freaking out. Trust, I'm nervous and freaking out now when I go before a judge. So I understand where you're coming from. But you want to have this information because you want to be able to remember that a year ago when your situation was really bad, you said you couldn't go to the grocery store. Now you're saying your condition is worse, but you go to the grocery store all the time. So how is a judge going to take that? So same thing. If somebody says, oh, we noticed, me and my friend, we go to the mall every week, and they were in real bad shape. And back then you said you couldn't go to the mall, but then later on, let me kind of clean it up. Back then, your friend says, oh, we used to go, I always wanted to go to the mall with them. We used to go to the mall, but then they don't go anymore. Now you're saying your condition's worse, but now you go to the mall. So now you got to be prepared to address why there's that inconsistency between what you said before and what you're saying now. Keep that paperwork. And I'm not saying for you to memorize what you wrote. What I'm saying is be mindful of what you wrote so that you're consistent in what you're saying. Because the reality is things may have changed. Maybe they have you on a different medication regimen or a different treatment regimen. Maybe some things have occurred that have allowed you to do a few more things more than you did previously. Well, you got to be prepared to explain that. So this way you know ahead of time. Keep those forms. So this way be consistent in what you say.